Hi, welcome to this game review. In this game we'll have a look at some opening principle violations as well as some missed captures and simple tactics, as well as moves that show that the player did not check what his opponent can do before making the move. And of course this is a 10+0 game, so it's basically a blitz game and both sides don't have time, so the first thing I would suggest is to play with longer time controls. In this game Queen's Gambit Accepted was played, which is an opening. This is fine, but if black is giving up the center like this, we have to understand this pawn will usually be taken. Black should strike in the center as soon as possible. One way to do this is with e5. The other way is knight f6 to attack the center. So black should do something like this. e6 is a bit soft, and after bishop c4, now white has an ideal center. Also, our bishop is blocked and we have no pieces developed, so white is a little bit better here. Now black played knight c6, and it might not be obvious why this is a mistake, but in these queen's pawn openings we always want our c-pawn to participate in the game, and now it is blocked, so either to play c5 or to play c6 to control some squares. But if knight c6, now this knight will not have enough power to attack d4 enough times, and this c-pawn on c7 will be quite useless. So knight f3, white develops, and now h6, which violates another opening principle, which is that we shouldn't move too many pawns unnecessarily in the opening, because every move we move a pawn that we don't have to move, we lose time, and time is very important in the opening because we have to develop as fast as possible. This is the priority. So black should have just developed a knight, or even developed a bishop with check, and try to develop the knight somewhere. Eventually this bishop should come out to play somehow, but black's position is a bit rough because he can't use his c-pawn to attack the center. But now castles, knight f6, knight c3, and black plays violates the same opening principle again, g6, which is a blunder. Saying it's a blunder is a bit harsh, but at this point white is already able to break through in the center because black is wasting too much time. He isn't developing. He has only 2 pieces developed against white's 5 pieces developed, and this means white can already break in the center and his advantage will be already winning. Instead, black should develop with tempo, bishop b4, and this threatens to take the knight and take the pawn. So white has to react somehow. Still, white can attack in the center and things are quite rough for black, but at least the bishop is developed and black is only 1 move away from castling. But g6, understandably maybe black wants to develop the bishop here, but again he doesn't have such time. He has to develop as fast as possible. Perhaps his pieces will not be ideally placed, but at least they will be developed and the king will be castled. And here bishop b5 also kind of violates an opening principle for white. White is moving the same piece twice, and this spin, although it is rather dangerous, there was better ways to play, namely d5, already breaking through in the center, and with the king here black is in very big trouble, and objectively black is lost. Bishop b5, bishop d7, and here knight d5 happens, which is a very strange move. Here again white should play d5 to open the center because he is developed, his rooks are in the center, his pieces are very active, and black's king is in the center, so problems will be for black. But after knight d5, this is a very big blunder as it just gives up a knight in 1 move, which black did not take for some reason. Here we can take with the knight or with the pawn, but we should take with the pawn because after a pawn takes back we have won a knight for a pawn. But what happened was knight d5, and now we have traded knights and we have won only a pawn, which is also good, but not as good as winning a knight. So this is what decides games. We have to take these pawns that are up for grabs. But here knight d5, ed, ed, and white plays knight e5, which is a very big blunder. And again, to exploit this blunder we have to check what we can capture, and at this point black is just winning a piece with this sort of yo-yo tactic. Knight takes e5, and the point is if white takes back here then there's a free bishop, and if white takes here with check, now we can recapture with the knight. And this kind of theme is quite common. And now our knight has run away, and we are a full piece ahead, and the pawn as well. So white will not have enough to checkmate on the e-file or do any damage. But bishop g7 happened, missing this easy tactic. Knight c6, bc, rook e1. And at this point black only has one decent move, which is king f8. And of course we don't really want to move around the king like this, but at this point we don't have a choice. If we look at our candidate moves, it's basically queen e7, but we just give up a queen. Bishop e5, we give up a bishop. And then bishop e6 or king f8. King f8, there's no obvious refutation, and black is a pawn ahead, and he will have to bring out his rook somehow. But after bishop e6, we have to check what the opponent can do, and now this c6 pawn is not defended anymore. And after bishop c6, black is now completely lost, because he is losing an exchange here, and he still had to move the king anyway, and now white is material ahead. And from here white converted quite well, developed his pieces, brought the rook into the game. Black tried to do something on the king side, but this doesn't really work. White didn't take the bishop, but he could. And a few moves later, checkmate was blundered, but the position was hopeless anyway, as white is a rook ahead. So black had his chances to take some pieces, and these are the chances that we have to focus on. We cannot miss one move captures.